Hello everyone, welcome to the how-to for the hybrid 46M. It'll come out of the box in its full-size configuration with a 45 cal end cap and an ASR mount. So anything that's already equipped with an ASR muzzle device, it's ready to go. For example, we've got an SR30 here. It's a 300 blackout AR platform. This could go on an AR-15, 22 cal, all the way up to like a 458 SOCOM. So after making sure the weapon is clear, we're just going to put our silencer right over top of the muzzle device, thread it down on those coarse threads till it seats firmly against that tapered shoulder, put our collar in the locked position, and we're ready to shoot. You know, on a short barrel rifle like this might be a little excessive in length. The nice thing about this is we can shorten it. So first we're going to remove our front cap with our 3-pin tool. Okay, so we're going to remove our front module, and these are paired. So if you do have more than one hybrid 46M or you have more than one Omega 36M or one of each, you don't want to switch these modules. These are actually precision EDM machined from the mount side together as a unit. So these are paired to be in perfect alignment with the ports. Don't put this on anything else than the silencer it came from. And the serial number, at least the last 4 digits, are engraved on the front module. So you can always match the serial numbers if you lose track. Now we're going to take our front cap and we're going to put it back on the short configuration. Actually, while we're at it, we'll switch sizes. You don't have to. So the 46 cal front cap that comes with the hybrid 46M is good to use on everything 46 cal and down. You don't have to switch out the front cap. But we will. You can buy different front caps with smaller bores, flash hider front caps for additional flash hiding on SBRs, and some other special purpose stuff. But if you go down in size, so we're going to go to a 30 cal front cap here because it's going to go on a 30 cal host firearm. We'll squeeze a little bit more performance out of it. Okay, so we've got our 30 cal cap on there. The 45 one would do just fine too. We're just going to get a couple more decibels of performance by doing this. All right, and we're ready to rock and roll in the short configuration. Let's say if you want to go direct thread, maybe a little bit simpler of a mounting system. Doesn't get any simpler than just threads, right? And then we also save a little bit of weight going direct thread versus the ASR mount as well. So we're going to remove the mount. You can try this method to break that mount loose, or you've got tool slots on the main body of the silencer and the mount. You can basically lean against your tools on a table. So I'm going to put the tools in the engagement, making sure that the mount's going to come off counterclockwise relative to the body. There you go. I can just lean on it, get some good leverage to break that loose. We'll set that aside. And then we're going to put in our direct thread mount, which is 2 pieces. So you've got your thread insert. This one's a 5/8 by 24 thread pattern. And then this coupler ring goes on the back and basically wedges that thread insert against the taper of that to the taper inside the silencer. If you really want to make sure it's tight, you can use this method, tying it down against the table, and we're ready to go with direct thread. All right, so we're taking off our 30 cal cap because if we're putting it on a 460 Smith & Wesson, it's obviously not a big enough hole for that bullet to go through. So make sure if we're going to go up in cartridge size diameter, we go back to the appropriate front cap. So back to the 46 cal front cap that this thing comes with. And actually this is a beefy boy. This packs a punch. So we're going to go back to the long configuration. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want on your own. But if this was mine, I'd probably want it in the long configuration. We've got our 45 cal end cap and our direct thread mount with 5/8 by 24 threads for this particular barrel. So we're going to make sure the firearm is clear and safe, free of any ammunition. And just thread this guy on there. All right, so there's our hybrid 46M on a couple of different rifles. So now let's set it up for pistol caliber stuff. All right, so when we go to anything that is basically typical of a centerfire pistol cartridge, we're going to need the piston mount. So we're going to remove our direct thread mount first. Break that collar loose, or the coupler as it's called. I'm going to take that guy out. All right, so to shoot anything pistol caliber, we could do direct thread if that makes sense, but if we're talking handguns, you need to have a piston assembly. We've got our piston mount here, which we've got the piston housing, which has a taper on it, so that's going to drop in. And then same coupler ring that comes with our direct thread mounts is the one that holds in the piston housing. I'm going to thread that over the back and cinch it down. And now we have a piston mount ready to accept all kinds of stuff. Okay, so we've got our piston mount installed here, which you need to do if you're going to run a piston. And then the other thing is 3-lug mounts. If you use a 3-lug mount, you have to have the piston mount pre-installed. With the hybrid 46M, you could use a 45 cal 3-lug mount or a 9mm 3-lug mount if you're shooting something 9mm or smaller. But the important thing is, whichever mount you're using, because we make a 9 and 45 3-lug mount, you need to make sure it's only going to matching muzzle devices that are meant for 9mm and smaller or 45 cal and smaller. You don't want to mix muzzle device sizes with 3-lug mount sizes. So this is a 45 cal 3-lug mount. Then use our 3-pin tool to make sure it's nice and tight. And we will throw it on this APC 45. Make sure it's clear. And the APC 45 has a 45 cal muzzle device cut right into the barrel. But you can buy 45 cal muzzle devices from us if you would like. So we just slide over the top, push and twist, and we're ready to go there. I'm going to take this 3-lug mount out. And we're going to set up our Mark 23. So we'll need the piston of the appropriate thread pattern, which is a 16mm right hand. I'm going to take our piston spring, slides over our piston, then we're going to take our spring retainer, and that also slides over the back. It needs to pass over an O-ring inside, so you might need to wiggle it around and give it some persuasion. But you can also put some grease on the inside on that O-ring. White lithium grease is a good choice, and that will also ensure that it moves smoothly, and that way you get optimal reliability and accuracy as well. So with that assembled, we're going to drop that into the back of the piston mount and just thread that down, that spring retainer, until it shoulders. Just like that. Now with that set up, we're ready to thread it onto our handgun. And with the hybrid 46M, you can put it on anything 45 cal and down. This is a 45 cal handgun, but you could just as easily throw it on a 9mm host. And this is pretty long, so if it were me, I'd probably run this in the short configuration. So let's do that. All right, so again, first we're going to remove the front cap because it's going to have to move to the rear module. Front module comes off, and we're going to put our front cap back on. All right, now we've got it all set up in our short configuration. And that should be a little less cumbersome on a handgun. This is also a pretty big handgun, so definitely save ourselves a couple of inches there. A lot more wieldy. All right, so the hybrid 46M is very much like the Omega 36M. The architecture's basically the same. The biggest difference, of course, is this has a 9mm bore going all the way through. This has a 46 caliber bore going all the way through. So the intent with the Omega 36M is for maximum efficiency on all the stuff that most people have. As far as handguns go, not everybody has stuff larger than 9mm because 9mm is quite standard. So by keeping that bore small at 9mm, we have basically a lot more to choke off gas, so it works better on everything smaller than that. But then of course you're limited to a max diameter bullet of 9 millimeters. With the Hybrid 46M, that's an evolution of our original Hybrid 46. We basically have everything the 36M does, but we also add the capability to do cartridges that have a diameter up to 46 caliber. Because we have that 46 caliber bore going all the way through, you do lose some efficiency on the smaller stuff, but you gain that capability and it still sounds absolutely fantastic on everything you can put through it. The modules are the same length, but the base silencer, the main body, is a little bit longer on the 45 cal because it does take a little more volume to compensate for the larger bore, particularly on 45 cal hosts. So there you go. They're both awesome. Whichever one you choose, I doubt you'll be disappointed. So I think that about covers it for the Hybrid 46M. If you have any further questions, leave them in the comments below or call up our customer service team and they will be happy to hear from you.